Good morning, everyone. I'm Steve Krakauer, executive producer of the Megyn Kelly Show and AM Update. It's Tuesday, March 10th, 2026, and this is your AM Update.
This was just an excursion into something that had to be done.
President Trump adopting a new term for Operation Epic Fury and delivering an update on the strikes as oil prices swing wildly on Monday.
He also told investigators that he had hoped to carry out an attack even bigger than the Boston Marathon bombing.
Two men who admit to being inspired by ISIS now facing terrorism charges after throwing explosive devices at an anti-Islam protest in New York City. New Epstein files potentially shedding light on the autopsy that fueled years of speculation surrounding the disgraced financier's cause of death. And a woman accused of opening fire on pop star Rihanna's home, now facing an attempted murder charge. All that and more coming up in just a moment on your AM Update.
If you are looking to make smarter choices for your health this year, consider Riverbend Ranch. Their steaks are not only delicious, they also contain real, high-quality protein that helps fuel your body. Beef is a complete protein and contains all 9 essential amino acids your body needs to function. It also keeps you fuller for longer, reducing cravings and snacking. But here's the key. Not all beef is created equal. The quality of the beef depends entirely on how it's raised and where it comes from, and that's where Riverbend Ranch stands apart. For more than 35 years, Riverbend Ranch has been building an elite Black Angus herd, carefully selecting cattle for exceptional flavor and tenderness. All Riverbend Ranch cattle are born and raised right here in the USA. They never use growth hormones or antibiotics, and the beef is processed at the ranch in their award-winning USDA-inspected facility. No shortcuts, no middlemen, just incredible, healthy, and flavorful beef shipped directly to your home. Order today at riverbendranch.com and use the promo code Megyn to get $20 off your first order.
President Trump delivering an update last night on Operation Epic Fury targeting Iran. Mr. Trump adopting a new term for the conflict, repeatedly referring to the operation as, quote, a little excursion rather than a war, amid growing concerns among Americans about a widening conflict. Mr. Trump again emphasizing the operation is nearly complete, providing information on the damage inflicted on Iran, while also indicating the U.S. could potentially go further.
We're achieving major strides toward completing our military objective. And some people could say they're pretty well complete. We've wiped every single force in Iran out very completely. Most of Iran's naval power has been sunk. I was just notified it's 51 ships. Their drones are way down. Their drone manufacturing's been hit starting today. We're also hitting where they make missiles and where they deliver missiles. We've struck over 5,000 targets to date, some of them very major targets, and we've left some of the most important targets for later. If we hit them, it's going to take many years for them to be rebuilt, having to do with electricity production and many other things.
The remarks coming after a day of rapidly fluctuating oil prices, crude prices spiking Monday, nearly hitting $120 per barrel. Yesterday afternoon, the president telling CBS News in a phone interview the war is, quote, very complete, pretty much. Oil prices ending the day back down to around $90, though still higher than before the operation began, when the price of a barrel was around $70. President Trump outlining a multi-pronged effort to stabilize prices as the operation continues.
I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply. And in the long run, oil supplies will be dramatically more secure without the threat of Iranian ships, drones, missiles, nuclear menace, or anything. We have a lot of Navy ships there. We have the best equipment in the world, inspecting for mines. Again, most of their ships are down at the bottom of the sea. We're putting an end to all of this threat once and for all. And this was just an excursion into something that had to be done. In the meantime, during this brief disruption, the United States is offering political risk insurance to any tankers operating in the Gulf. So we're also waiving certain oil-related sanctions to reduce prices. So we have sanctions on some countries. We're going to take those sanctions off till this straightens out. When the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed, but if it's needed, we'll escort them right through.
The president declining to elaborate on which specific oil sanctions would be lifted. Elsewhere in the press conference, Mr. Trump questioned about the strike on an Iranian girls' school, reportedly resulting in the deaths of as many as 175 people, mostly girls between the ages of 7 and 12. Multiple news outlets, including CNN and the New York Times, conducting analysis finding it likely that U.S. military forces were responsible for accidentally hitting the school. Yesterday, Mr. Trump saying Tomahawk missiles, like the one used in the school strike, are, quote, generic and operated by many other countries. One reporter asking a follow-up on the subject.
Mr. President, you just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation. But Tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have Tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report.
It's unclear when a full report on the strike will come out. President Trump attempting to balance two messages, one portraying the little excursion as largely complete, the other signaling the U.S. can continue, expanding to ever greater targets. One reporter asking the president what he considers a win.
Where they're not going to be starting the following day to develop a nuclear weapon. They were not willing to say that. And when Steve called up and he said that to me, I said, well, here we go. Let's do it the hard way. When basically I can see that they will no longer have any capacity whatsoever for a very long period of time of developing weaponry that could be used against the United States, Israel, or any of our allies. If I didn't hit them first, they were going to hit our allies first. But I believe that they were going to take over the Middle East. They were looking to take over the Middle East. Now, had Operation Midnight Hammer not taken place, that was definite, because they would have had a nuclear weapon within a matter of weeks. But that took place. That was a setback. But look at the number of missiles they were able to buy and make over the last 6 months.
Quinnipiac yesterday releasing a poll finding President Trump's overall approval rating at 37%, with 57% disapproving, the lowest net approval rating of his second term. 53% of voters opposing the operation against Iran, with 40% in favor. Among Republicans, 85% support versus 11% opposing. 62% of respondents saying the Trump administration has not provided a clear explanation of the reasons behind the operation, with 35% saying it has. Two men charged in federal court with attempting to carry out an ISIS-inspired attack at an anti-Islam protest near the mayor's residence Saturday in New York City. 18-year-old Amir Balat and 19-year-old Ibrahim Qayyumi, each facing 5 criminal counts, including use of a weapon of mass destruction, transportation of explosive materials, and unlawful possession of destructive devices. Balat captured on video at the protest throwing what authorities now say was an improvised explosive device into the crowd, then running, grabbing a second device from Qayyumi, lighting it, and dropping the bomb on the ground as he attempted to flee law enforcement. Investigators saying the two traveled together from their homes in Pennsylvania prior to the failed attack. NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch saying both defendants admitted their actions were motivated by ISIS. Body camera footage capturing a moment when Qayyumi, already under arrest, was asked by an onlooker why he carried out the attack. Qayyumi responding, quote, ISIS. According to Tisch, Qayyumi later told investigators he had been watching ISIS propaganda videos on his phone. Tisch also describing statements Balat made to investigators after his arrest while being transported to the precinct.
Balat made spontaneous statements without being questioned by NYPD officers that were captured on body-worn camera footage. He said, "This isn't a religion that just stands when people talk about the blessed name of the prophet. We take action, as well as, if I didn't do it, someone else will come and do it." And later, after waiving his rights, he requested paper and wrote a message declaring in part, "I pledge my allegiance to the Islamic State. Die in your rage, you kuffar." Now, "die in your rage" is a commonly known ISIS slogan, and kuffar is an Arabic term that refers to non-believers. He also told investigators that he had hoped to carry out an attack even bigger than the Boston Marathon bombing, which he noted resulted in only 3 deaths.
Tisch also detailing the results of preliminary testing on the explosive devices, as well as evidence recovered from a vehicle linked to the suspects parked near the protest.
Preliminary testing has determined that one of the devices contained triacetone triperoxide, or TATP, also commonly referred to as Mother of Satan, a highly volatile explosive that has been used in multiple terrorist attacks over the last decade. As we have previously discussed, the NYPD identified a vehicle yesterday on East End Avenue that was linked to the defendants. Inside that vehicle, investigators recovered handwritten notes referencing TATP explosive and listing chemical ingredients for the type of explosive device used by the defendants on Saturday.
Balot and Kayumi appearing in court Monday, both men wearing orange handcuffs and white jumpsuits, according to the Wall Street Journal, neither entering a plea, the judge ordering both defendants held in custody until their next court appearance set for April 9th. After the arraignment, Balot's attorney speaking with reporters.
I'm saying they're from different parts of Pennsylvania. They're in different age groups. They are not known to each other. They did not live together. They did not have family or school ties. There is no reason to believe they knew each other prior to this incident, and I don't know how well they knew each other at the time of this incident.
Tisch declining to provide further details about how the pair may have been radicalized. Meanwhile, the New York Post reporting Kayumi's parents own a 5,800 square foot home in scenic Newtown, Pennsylvania, 6-bedroom, 5-bathroom property valued at $2.25 million. According to Fox News, Kayumi's parents became naturalized U.S. citizens in the early 2000s after coming from Afghanistan. A neighbor telling the Post, quote, "This is not the kind of place you think of when you think Islamic terror. This is Americana here. I guess what indoctrinates you online has nothing to do with location." Coming up, newly released Epstein files shedding light on a lingering mystery why the medical examiner initially left the matter of Jeffrey Epstein's death unresolved, and shots fired at pop star Rihanna's Los Angeles home. What we know about the bizarre circumstances, next.
Let's talk about what's really happening right now. New data shows that financial stress is at an all-time high for some. Many Americans are at a breaking point. Debt maxed out, no extra money, no room to breathe. And some people are running out of options. Listen, if debt has been weighing on you, you are not alone. And when it comes to debt, waiting usually makes it worse. Interest piles up, minimum payments keep you stuck. But you do not need another loan or bankruptcy. You need a strategy. This is why I want to tell you about Done with Debt. They build a smart, personalized plan around you. They know what it takes to get you the biggest reductions possible. Whether you owe $10,000 or much more, Done with Debt has one clear goal: lower what you owe, so you keep more of your paycheck every month. Start with a free consultation. It takes minutes. You share your situation and find out what's possible. You don't have to stay stuck. Go to donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com.
Newly released documents shedding some light on why Jeffrey Epstein's autopsy report initially left the matter of death unresolved, a delay fueling years of speculation. New York City medical examiner Dr. Kristen Roman performing Epstein's autopsy on August 11, 2019, one day after he was discovered dead in his cell. The autopsy observed by Dr. Michael Baden at the request of the disgraced financier's brother, Mark Epstein. Dr. Baden concluding then, and still believes, based on his observation of the body, that Epstein's death was a homicide. At the time of the autopsy, Dr. Roman declining to check a box on the death certificate, indicating homicide or suicide, instead selecting pending studies. Days later, New York City's chief medical examiner, Dr. Barbara Sampson, declaring Epstein's death a suicide based on, quote, careful review of all investigative information. Dr. Roman at the time not offering public comment on the matter. Dr. Baden's insistence that the death was a homicide, in conjunction with the delay in the medical examiner's conclusion, casting doubt for years over the circumstances of Epstein's death among many skeptics. In 2023, the DOJ's Inspector General releasing a report on Epstein's imprisonment, confirming that Dr. Roman did conclude that Epstein's death was suicide via hanging, though that report did not address why she initially left the cause of death as pending. The transcript of Dr. Roman's interview with the DOJ released in the Epstein files, shining light on the investigation into the cause of death. Dr. Roman telling investigators she was, quote, being thorough, going on to say, quote, if he had been a less high-profile person who there weren't people wanting to kill, I would have probably called it a hanging on the day of autopsy. The doctor calling it a, quote, pretty clear-cut case, but telling investigators she wanted to examine Epstein's cell and speak to the guard who found his body before making her final determination. Dr. Roman stating in a sworn interview that she was not allowed to speak to the prison guards or view Epstein's cell, but she did examine photos of the room, according to Business Insider. Dr. Bodden maintaining the neck fractures he observed on Epstein are more commonly associated with strangulation. Dr. Roman telling investigators those same injury patterns support her conclusion, explaining pressure applied by another person would have produced different uneven fractures. And the mystery continues. A Florida woman facing attempted murder charges after allegedly opening fire Sunday afternoon on the Los Angeles home of pop star and entrepreneur Rihanna while she was inside. Police saying 35-year-old Ivana Ortiz fired multiple rounds at the home from a white Tesla across the street. Dispatch audio from the incident reporting about 10 shots fired. Neighbor Isabel Thorne describing the moment to reporters from NBC and CBS yesterday.
I was just washing dishes in my house and I heard shots. And I was a little shocked. We don't hear that kind of thing in this neighborhood. It's pretty quiet. Nobody should have to deal with being, in fear in your own home. That's terrible.
Investigators saying one round penetrated the wall of the home, others striking the outer gate in an RV parked in the driveway. Rihanna, her partner A$AP Rocky, and their 3 young children all home at the time, according to NBC4. No injuries were reported. Police tracking down Ortiz via helicopter, locating the vehicle in a Sherman Oaks shopping center about 30 minutes after the first 911 call was placed, according to the LA Times. Ortiz taken into custody without incident. Investigators recovering a rifle and 7 shell casings in the Tesla, according to an LAPD spokesperson. The motive remains under investigation. The Daily Mail reporting Ortiz recently posted a message targeting Rihanna on social media, sharing a selfie, tagging the star, and writing, quote, "Are you there? Because I was waiting for your AIDS 5-head self to say something to me directly." The outlet describing Ortiz as a Christian influencer, promoting a, quote, women's prayer journal on YouTube, where she reads from the Bible daily, coaching her followers through the videos. Ortiz previously arrested in Florida for domestic violence, careless driving, and violating pretrial release conditions, according to the Daily Mail. Ortiz currently held in LAPD Metropolitan Detention Center. Bail is reportedly set at $10.2 million. It is unclear when she's due in court. That'll do it for your AM Update. I'm Steve Krakauer. Join Megyn back here for the Megyn Kelly Show, live on SiriusXM's The Megyn Kelly Channel, 111 at noon East, on youtube.com/Megyn Kelly, and all podcast platforms.